It is Connor, yes? Yes. Awesome. Welcome.
Hey.
All right. Well, we are officially minutes past. Oh, we got another. We got another. Another.
It's almost 5:30.
I think your time might be 5 minutes.
Oh.
You're a good 30
Wait,
seconds past time.
It's 5:30.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, I thought you said it was 5 minutes.
I said, do I start on time or do I start 2 minutes late? I don't know the protocol here. All right. So, hello. How are y'all today? Sorry, I always have to remember to say hi to people, which I said hi to everybody in here. Anyways, so CatholicU today, we're going to be talking about vocations. I know your mindset consecrated life, but don't worry, we will cover that. And if you have more questions, I can talk to you about that later. All right? So let's go ahead and start with a prayer. Okay, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Come, Holy Spirit, fill the hearts of your faithful, and kindle in us the fire of your love. Lord, thank you for this community. Thank you for everybody here. And always help us to do your will. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Okay, so I'm going to intro me. So if you don't know me, I am Veronica Mullen. I work at Holy Cross Catholic Academy. I teach math, religion, and art, because those go together. And we're actually going to talk about that later, because we're talking about vocations. And it's really interesting how Holy Cross has kind of figured out how to figure out what I'm good at and what I can help with in the school. And it's been such a God thing at Holy Cross. So anyways. So before I get started as well, I'm going to kind of do a shameless plug. We have a retreat at Holy Cross coming up, and if you're interested in potentially helping out or even being a speaker for a retreat, I'm looking for people. So if you want to come talk to me afterwards, go for it. All right. All right. So first thing, we're going to start with an activity. So the question, our intro question, our bell ringer or whatever you want to call it. What did you want to be when you grew up, when you were 5 years old? So I want you to think about it, and then I would like you to actually turn to your neighbor and tell them, what did you want to be when you grew up, when you were 5 years old?
I got inspired by watching.
So, I heard some pretty cool ones. I heard NASCAR driver.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I heard veterinarian. At one point in time, that was me. So, I don't know. Do we do attention grabbers here? I don't know. Come back. Waterfall.
I use that one.
Yeah. So anyways, so we're going to talk about life, and so you don't have to raise your hand, you don't have to say anything out loud, but I'm not trying to get at anybody, but are you ever going through life just like trying to see where you're going in the future? Like you're like, I'm not sure, I don't know what's going on. Or you're getting super stressed out about like, what am I going to do with my life? I'm not sure, this is getting crazy. Really freaking out because you don't know what you want to do with your life. You're still stressed out. You're still crazy, going crazy. Just melting down, you know. Anybody been there? I'm going to be honest. That was so me in college. I did not know what the heck I wanted to do with my life. And we're definitely going to talk about that. So, anyways. This is our Latin word of the day. We're going to learn words as well. Vocare. Who knows what this word means? To call, which is where we get the word vocation from. So obviously the word vocation is your calling. That's Latin, your Latin for today, okay? We might throw a few more Latin words in there. It's okay, don't worry about it. So, I forgot to mention. So I pulled some of my sources from some Father Mike Schmidt's videos. So if you ever see it at the top, I'm using his talking points. They are not mine, but I found them very helpful, and I'm going to build off of them. So just letting you know. So there are 3 vocations in your life that you're going to be called to. Anybody know them? Mackenzie?
I think I remember that. Is it primary vocation, secondary vocation, and holiness?
Kind of. That's a good start. So we are going to start with the primary vocation, actually. So the primary vocation is the holiness vocation.
Okay.
So they're the same thing. So holiness vocation. Fun fact, we are all called to be a saint. Point to your neighbor, say, you are called to be a saint.
You are called to
We have this universal call to holiness. Every single one of you in here is called to be a saint. I don't care what you get called to do in life, you are called to be a saint, which I think is crazy. I think that's beautiful and amazing. So anyways, this is a vocation that does not change. It is for everybody. And the destination, where you're going, heaven. All right. So I don't know. I always find comfort in that. It's just like, okay, no matter what craziness happened today, as long as I was going towards this vocation, we were growing towards sainthood, because we've got to grow for that, because we are not saints yet. At least I'm not. So anyway, second one is your primary relationship vocation. Okay. So this is how you are going to be living out your life. So we have some examples here. We have married life, religious life, single life, priesthood, diaconate, consecrated life, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so this is basically how you are going to be in basically a relationship here on earth. So, which, yeah, don't worry, we'll get to that. So if you're married, you are married to a spouse, all right, and your spouse is married to you, and that's how you live through life. You are married to this person, and this person is helping you and helping you grow towards holiness. If you're a priest, you are married to the church, so that is your primary relationship. Or if you are consecrated or religious life, you are the church, and especially consecrated women, you are the brides of Christ, which is really cool. Anyway, see, I told you I would talk about that. Don't worry. This is very slow to change, if it does change at all. So obviously, when you're young, you're not living out that primary relationship vocation, so it will change in your life. But then as you grow older, you can live out this vocation. It's very, very slow to change, because it's meant to help build you, and it helps you die to yourself and helps you become the man or the woman God has called you to be, all right? Which obviously is saints. So it helps us get to the first one, the primary vocation, all right? So like for a husband and a wife, husband will die to self for his wife, and that helps him become the man that God is calling him to be. And the wife will die to herself for the husband, and also for serving the children, like saying like, it's not about me, it's about something greater than me, and it's not, the universe does not revolve around me. So anyways, with any consecrated life, you are dying to yourself to serve in a unique way that you're called. So for religious, you will profess vows, you'll live a life that's very unique and specific to whatever group you decide to join, or how you will serve the church, or if you're a priest, you will die to self to serve the church. It's all beautiful. Anyways, die to self. And then the last call, which is the call of tasks or immediate tasks. So your primary relationship vocation will drive your call for tasks. So if that is your career, so if in order to be a good father and a good husband, you need to support your family through a job, or vice versa. For a woman to be a good wife, you need to support your family through a job, that is derived from your primary relationship vocation to do something else and live up to that. And it's not necessarily just like, oh, this is my career. It could be a day-to-day, even the hour, minute-to-minute thing. It's how you are called through your vocation to do certain tasks. Like, for example, Brian at Walmart. Y'all don't know Brian. Brian at Walmart needed some laundry done. And I so happened to have the exact amount of money he needed to get his laundry done. And I offered to pray with him, and I gave him some money, and I said, laundry's on me, please go clean your clothes. I wouldn't say he was smelly, but he looked like he needed some help that day, and God was calling me in that moment to help Brian. So this one is always changing. So even with careers, trust me, I've had lots of jobs. Even with careers, it will consistently change, and sometimes they're slower to change, but they will always be changing. Yeah, I already said that. Driven by the primary relationship vocation. All right. So, as I said earlier, I am a math teacher. All right. So, fun fact, you get to learn a little math today. It's okay. It's okay. I'm going to make it simple. All right. Wait. We're first going to start with this. So, usually you go through life and you have like a circle. You can either do priest or religious, right? Or you can be married. And we don't know where to put the single people. This is so inaccurate. It makes my heart hurt. And we're going to actually go through and look at how we are interconnected as a church. And this is so inaccurate. So anyways, now it's the math lesson.
Okay, can I say something?
Yes.
I have a friend who lives in the UK.
Uh-huh.
And he's single.
Uh-huh.
And every time, I don't know why, but I always picture that, and like, you're like, I don't know why.
Yeah, if you can't tell, I'm a visual person, and I got lots of visuals coming up for you, okay? Don't worry. But let's define this a little bit more that makes sense, okay? So, we're going to talk about sets and subsets. Who have heard of sets and subsets? Any math teachers out there? Sets and subsets. So, a set contains things within the set that belong in the set. So if I say this is the set of cookies, all cookies belong in this set. Okay, we're good with that? Okay.
Yeah, I like cookies.
Then you can have a subset within the set that belongs in the set, and it's its own set. So we can have chocolate chip cookies within the set of cookies. So it's a subset of cookies, all right? Are we solid on sets and subsets?
So subsets make up the set.
So yes, subsets make up the whole set.
Right.
But subsets themselves are their own set.
Right, they're their own little community.
Yes. All right, so we're solid on a more, probably more familiar set and subset setup you have seen. That was, try saying that. Is the Venn diagram. So you have set, and you have the overlap where the subset is the both and of the two sets, okay? We've seen this before, yes? So I'm going to be using sets and subsets and Venn diagram sets and subsets in my next demonstration. Visual, okay? So, so, this is accurate. Okay, a little bit more accurate than my original priest and religious, married, and question mark single life, okay? Because you have ordained ministers and you have the laity, all right? So, ordained, yes, ordained ministers, that we have one of those in here, right here, okay. So that is actually not the highest full set of the ordained ministers. We can go down to we'll first start with bishops. Okay, so bishops, they can do all 7 sacraments, and which means they can do all the sacraments that a priest can do. So that means they're priests. So that makes it a subset of bishops. Okay, so all priests, yeah. You know, like all squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are square argument. Yeah, this is what I'm trying to make sense for you, you know. And then all priests can do 5 sacraments with 1 sacrament with permission from the bishop. And so that means that the deacons that could do 2 sacraments, that means all priests are deacons, so that would be another subset within there. Okay, so here's our ordained ministers. All right, more understanding. Okay, now we have the laity. So now we can put the marriage, the religious life, and the single life over here. But I am going to tell you that although this is more accurate than the first one, it is still inaccurate because this seems very, I don't know, separate, not connected, not, yeah. Like, it's not like we have ordained ministers over here and we never talk to them.
Deacons can be married.
Exactly. That's a good point. So let's talk about that. So we must have an overlap of sets somewhere, right?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to reframe this, and we're going to talk about, so religious, everything in this box, ordained ministers. Everything outside the box, laity. Okay. So we have religious, right? So there are some religious who are ordained priests and deacons. So that's the overlap. We got that overlap there, okay? And then as you just said, my good sir, there are deacons who are married, so we definitely need an overlap there. And fun fact, in union with the Catholic Church, there are some rites where priests are allowed to be married. And they're totally Catholic. It's mostly the Byzantine rite or the Eastern culture rite, you know. There's the Eastern Orthodox, which is different. They're not in union with the church. It's the ones that are in the union with the church. And there are some few others where the priests are married. So we do need to expand it a little bit to include some of the priests
So
in that.
then, but you still haven't got people that are single but not religious or deacons.
Oh, don't worry. I got you. I got you. I totally got you. Yes, ma'am.
So can you just clarify a little bit for us that don't understand how come some priests can be married?
So we are in the Western culture, or the Latin rite of the Catholic Church. Priests are not married in the Latin rite, okay? So you, growing up in a Latin rite culture, have probably never seen this before. Whereas in the Byzantine rite, or the Eastern culture of the Catholic Church, you can be married and be ordained a deacon and go all the way up to priest, but you're not going to go see it up into the bishop. So they can be married with families, and it's totally legit, and it's totally in union with the church. But you're not going to see that in the Latin rite. Any other further questions?
History and
Yeah,
geographical thing.
right. So.
I thought that was a thing with, what is it, United Kingdom.
Mm-hmm. So actually, more recently, there were a lot of priests who were not with the Catholic Church, and they're married. It's in the UK with the Anglican Church. They were married with children, and I think it was Pope Francis. Was it Pope Francis or the one before? I don't know. One of the popes recently. He basically said, okay, we're going to let you come into the church in full union, being Catholic, and you can still stay married. And so that was actually an exception that was made that is more relevant to our culture. So again, history, logistics, the drama of it all, basically. But it's really cool because we are not limited to just like, oh, it's only our way and all this. No, like they're fully in union with the church. It just looks a little different. It's really cool. All right, so now let's talk about one of the most recent most recent vocations that has come up in the church in the past 100 years. Who has heard of secular institutes? Maybe a little bit. Okay, so secular institutes, basically they are part of religious orders, but you live in the world, but you still profess vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience while living in the world. So that is a more recent the vocation that has been put into the church, because there were some people who were married who wanted to further consecrate their lives to God, and so they made it an option. So we need to include that. we got the inclusion, the overlap here, right? Okay.
Is that a chip or something?
Yes.
Sharknado.
But fun fact, you don't have to be married to join a secular institute. You can be single. So we're going to throw the single group up here on the board.
So smooth.
And so you have single life, but as I said, they can actually be a part of the secular institute. You don't have to be married to join a secular institute. So we need to include them. So we have the secular institute. It's got messy, I know, and do know, I didn't put this on here, that there are some priests that can join secular institutes that you can throw. You know what I mean, okay? So, we're all solid. Yes, Silas.
Why are bishops excluded from the religious category, but priests and deacons aren't?
Because if, let's say somebody was professed vows in a religious order, and they become deacon, and he becomes a priest, and then he is called to be a bishop, he actually forgoes his vow of poverty, so he's no longer a part of the religious order. Yes. Yeah. Anyways.
I can't get over the marriage Dorito.
Don't worry.
Sharp tooth.
So, anyways, and in single life, there are some people who further consecrate their lives to God. So we have consecrated virgins, consecrated widows, hermits, and there are some others. And I know that like this isn't exactly perfect to everything, but these people will either privately or publicly with the bishop profess vows to further consecrate their lives to God, but they remain single. But then we also have the people who live out their lives and serve the church. Betty, who serves the Catholic Student Center, awesome. And she's able to live out her life. And I don't know about y'all, but y'all love Betty, right? I love Betty. So I'd be so sad without Betty. So Betty would be in the single life category. So I always think single people who truly want to live their lives for God are further consecrating themselves, even if it's not a public consecration. So, anyways, sets and subsets. More sense? All right. Any questions? No? Okay.
Wait, could you clarify the bishop's name that Silas was asking about?
So he was asking, why are none of the bishops religious? And I say if he is called to be a bishop, he has to like forego his vow of poverty, which is what religious profess.
Oh, so he can't.
So he wouldn't be a religious anymore.
Right, so he can't be a secular institutes, right?
Do I?
He can't be part of the secular institutes?
I mean, in theory, he probably could. I don't know. That's an advanced question. Yes, Father.
Just to add to what you're saying, because a bishop, for example, the reason he forgoes the vow of poverty is he becomes the patron of the diocese, and he has to be able to get monetary things, property, without needing permission from some. So a religious needs permission on what to do with money and property, and also a religious is obedient to a superior.
Oh, yeah.
So the bishop has to let go of that, or we would have a bit of a church nightmare where you've got people who are in charge, per se.
Yeah. That makes sense?
Yeah, that does make
Yeah.
more sense.
Yes.
Could you expand? I have no idea what secular institutes are, to be honest.
Okay.
I don't get it.
In the past 100 years, not even 100 years ago, there are people who live in these categories who for whatever reason felt called to further consecrate their lives to God in service, and specifically felt called to either like the Franciscan order or the Dominican order or something of the religious. And so they are able to profess vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience. So they live in poverty with what they need. And so they basically live according to the rules of the religious, but they live in the world, not with the community. Yes.
How does that work with marriage, though?
So in order to have a chaste marriage, like...
It would be like a Josephite marriage or something?
No.
No?
I don't think so. Am I wrong?
Oh,
I don't think so. No, it's just if you're chaste in your marriage, that means you give yourself wholly to your spouse and nobody else.
Oh.
No cheating?
More like the religious would. And I guess I also have questions about the vow of poverty because you have children. And I guess it's like...
I'm under the impression that a lot of people who feel called to this are empty nesters.
Okay.
That's what I kind of got the impression when I was researching it. So, yeah.
Chastity is not the same thing as celibacy.
Yes.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Words. All right. Any other questions? All right. So a little bit more in depth than this with random single life. Okay. Definitely more in depth. All right. So now that we kind of got a broader understanding of how vocations work within the church, let's talk about more visuals. Okay. So we have primary vocation. We're going to heaven, right? So. And then you got your primary relationship vocation or your PRVs, okay? So your PRV can be priest. We can have somebody in the secular institute. We can have religious deacon, religious sister, married life, single life, all these different. You can fill in whatever else you want, okay? So all these people live in the church, and they are driven to do tasks. Okay, so we're gonna put all the tasks up. Okay. All right, and so all these tasks drive you towards your primary vocation, which is sanctification, holiness, to be a saint. Really cool. So we got lots of mess. We're all going the same way. That's the point. Okay. So everybody's going the same way. All right. We're all going to heaven. That's the goal. And we're supposed to die to self, help the community, serve each other, just as Jesus did for us. All right. So, anyways, I like visuals. If I haven't said that yet. Anyways, all right. So when it comes to vocations, obviously there is discernment involved. Okay. So fun fact: if you just type in discernment into a Google search, it says to make a right judgment, just as a normal definition. And I was like, I don't think I've ever heard of that way. But and then it goes on to like what a religious discernment is and all that. But let's talk about the 4 rules of discernment, 4 helpful rules of discernment. So first off, it's like if you go to a door, okay, and it's like you're gonna say, okay, is God calling me to go through this door, or is God calling me to go to a different door? Okay. So first, when you get to it, you got to ask, is it good? Okay. God will never call you to do something evil. All right. So, oh yeah, that's what I wrote. Boom. All right, is it good? So God will never call you to do something evil. So if you think cheating on your wife is the answer, it's not, okay? That's not good. So don't go through that door it would be the first thing. So if it is good or neutral, like it's not causing you to sin or do evil, okay? Then is the door open? Don't be banging on the door if it's locked and somebody threw away the key. You know what I'm saying? Is it actually available to you? So, and within your reality. So, for example, a lot of you know, and if you don't, you're about to find out. I've had a spinal injury in my past, okay? And with my spinal injury, sometimes it is very difficult for me to walk, and sometimes I have to use a cane and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so here's the thing. Is it in my realm of reality to become a professional athlete? No, this is not possible for me. And me trying to pursue this dream is probably not, it's a closed door, okay? Don't be banging on the door. Is it wise? Okay, so you know you. All right, so let's say in the moment you were going through a rough time, and let's say there was somebody that you knew. I'm not trying to go at anybody. I'm just saying this is a situation that I saw a lot in college. So I'm not saying this is at anybody. Let's say you knew somebody who's at the student center. I went to the student center too. Okay, I'm not going at anybody. You knew someone at the student center, and this person is good. They follow Jesus. Doors open. This person I can date. But let's say I was going through a rough time and I needed to sort some things out on my end. Maybe starting to date that one person was probably not the best idea, because I needed to work on some things on me, or that person needed to work on some things for him or her or whatever. It was just a pattern I saw, okay? And then the last one is what you want, okay? And we're gonna actually talk about this one, okay? So talk about it. So is it what you want? All right. So we're going to actually talk about this word. Oh, yeah. Fun fact, you do get to choose what you do with your life. God did not tie you to a chair and force you to be a saint. He did not tie you to a chair and force you to be a student. He did not tie you to a chair and force you to choose WT. You do get a choice, okay? So that is free will. It's a beautiful gift from God. Which means we get to choose God or not God. That's how I say it to my students. We get to choose God or not God. Don't ask about the time when I tied him to a chair. It's fine. Basically, I tied him to a chair and made him choose between pen or pencil. He chose pencil. I forced him to choose pen. That's not free will. Okay? God lets us choose. All right? So with that being said, let's talk about this word. This is the word I actually wanted to talk about. Okay. So somebody broke this word down for me years ago, and it blew my mind. Okay? So this word you can break up into 2 different words. They. What does they mean? Come on. Some people know Spanish here, right? Of. Don't make it complicated, okay?
Well, you said it like day, and I was like, not comfortable.
Sorry, not day. They.
This is night and day.
Don't worry about it. It's fine. I'm gonna get rid of my whatever. Okay. And then sire. What does that word look like?
Sire.
Sire. What is a sire?
Isn't it a man?
Sure. What else is a sire?
Father.
Father. Okay.
My lord.
My lord. Sire, Lord. Okay. Sire means Lord. So, the word desire actually breaks down, and I know, like, especially in our hypersexualized culture, maybe this is not something you've heard before, but the word desire actually breaks down of the Lord. Okay. So, the thing is you do get to choose, is it what you want? God specifically puts desires in our hearts. Things that we actually want to do. Things that are good for us, that are open to us, and that are, something that we can do, and it's in our reality of being able to do. We actually do want to do them. And these are the vocations that we're called to do. Okay? So, I don't know. This always blew my mind because I was like, wait, I actually do get to want what I want to do, because I'm going to share a little bit of my story of when I was going through college. Because that was a mess. Okay. So, what's stopping you from actually doing what you want? As long as it's good, it's in your reality, it's wise for you. As long as what's stopping you from actually doing what you want? Because obviously you can want things that are not good for you. I'm talking about the good things, okay? So, I'm going to get on a soapbox for a second. I am in the education system. I am in a private school in the education system, so we don't have to follow all the rules of the education system, but the education system it's really sad to see. So I'm actually certified pre-K through 12th grade actually. And the kids are like super young and they're enthusiastic and they want to do things, and they have all these like awesome visions. And then by the time we get them to juniors and seniors, they have died down and they have no desire to do anything, and they get frustrated. And it's the saddest thing ever. People ask me, why do you like to teach middle school rather than high school? And I'm like, they still got spark in them. Sometimes it's got attitude with it, but it's fine. Don't worry about it. So, in the school education system, you are told to follow directions, okay? So you follow all these directions in the classroom, and then you are actually rewarded if you do them correctly, okay? So you have this system where it tells you, you do this, this, and this, and this, you're good, okay? So you don't move forward until you have it checked off the list. So you don't move from first grade to second grade until you've checked all these skills off. You don't move from elementary school to middle school until you have all these things checked off. You get the same from middle school to high school. And then, in order to get your diploma from high school, you got to get all these things checked off. And you can go as deep or as broad as you want. You have to get these things checked off. And so therefore, your whole mission, your whole direction in life is following directions. So you don't have freedom to explore. That's just my soapbox. So, of course, the influence of people around you. So I'm actually doing a book study with Holy Cross with the staff right now. And it says the people around you have, the wisdom can be brought in by the people around you, and so can like bad decisions or self-destruction. The things that you consume, like your reading, your videos, all this stuff, your influence. So, friends, family, and I have a ... there because I want to share a little bit of my story. So, when I went to college, I went to Texas Tech. I'm sorry. I went to Texas Tech, and I moved from Springfield, Virginia, to Lubbock, Texas. Okay. And I moved all the way out here with not really any knowledge. I just knew I wanted to go to Texas. I don't know. I don't even remember why. And then I think back and I'm like, oh yeah, God put that desire in my heart for a reason. And that's a whole nother story. You want to ask me later, that's fine. Anyways, guess what I was studying when I first got to Lubbock?
Nursing.
Yes. I was a nursing student, all right? And when I first got to Lubbock, I was actually pre-nursing, and I went through the anatomy and physiology class. Now, here's the thing. I can still tell you how your body's put together, but I can't spell any of it. You wanna know why? I had lived my entire life through the education system with undiagnosed dyslexia. And so I actually have trouble reading and writing, and especially spelling. I spent hours learning the anatomy. Again, I can still tell you how your body's put together. But I would spend 3 times the amount of time. So if I spent 6 hours learning the body, that meant I spent 18 hours trying to learn to spell the darn thing and still misspelled it on the test day. You know what I came out of anatomy with? You know what my grade was?
A 60.
70.
C.
C is good.
Okay? C does not get you into nursing school, though.
No, they don't.
And that was a hard reality that I had to face. It was just, and I looked back and I was like, why on earth did I become nursing? Oh, you want to know why? Because my parents, and this goes with family, my parents said it was something that was successful for me. It was something that was going to be able to like sustain me and make me money. It was solid. It was safe. And I suffered 3 semesters in the pre-nursing program before I switched to education. Okay? And I remember on my 19th birthday, I went to the advisor, and that was the day he told me I was never going to make it into nursing school because of those grades. Worst birthday ever. I'm kidding. It was pretty bad, though. But I will tell you this. On that day, the first thing I did was I left that, it was dreary like today, and I was so... The mood was set and everything. You know, the first thing I did is I went to the student center and I went to the chapel and I sat with the tabernacle and in Jesus and the Eucharist. I'm like, Jesus, I don't know what I was going to do. What else am I going to do with my life? What am I going to do? I was supposed to be a nurse and I can't even make it into nursing school. Like, what the heck? And the reason why this is so important is because although my parents meant very well, they never took the time and the opportunity to actually figure out what I wanted to do, and they just kind of pushed me towards it. And I feel like a lot of times that far too often that happens, because I hear it all the time with the high schoolers I work with, and it saddens my heart. So the last thing, when it comes to what's stopping you, is that you just won't make the decision. Okay?
That's a hard thing for me.
Commitment.
So we're going to actually talk about making decisions, okay? So
I hate making decisions.
yeah, that's what we're going to talk about. So you are called to do the Father's will. This is a good thing, okay? Are we all on the same page with this? Yes.
Amen.
Okay. Amen. So desiring to do his will is actually a good thing, and it is a thing that he has placed in your heart to do. This helps, okay? But when it comes to this, is I think a lot of the time is that you ask for God, say, God, what do you want me to do with my life? And then you just wait. You know, you don't actually move with that. You just sit there and like if you would just tell me to do your will, this would be great. Remember how I talked about free will earlier, and you actually get to choose? He does give you the choice, okay? So, asking God to guide you is a fantastic place to start, but don't stay there, okay? Go to prayer. First thing. Prayer is amazing. And actually, and yeah, I know Sister Maria Michael talked about prayer last week, but prayer is so good because this is your relationship with God. This is how you talk to him. And I remember really recently I had somebody come and help me set up my classroom this summer right before school started. And we were talking about prayer life, and she said, Veronica, I really want a prayer life like yours. And I think that's so cool. Like, how did you get there? And I said, well, you want a prayer life like me? Start talking to God first. Like, start the convo, you know? Like, actually talk to him. And you know, if you need to start with just 5 minutes, start with 5 minutes. It's okay. Then do 6. Do 8. Build on to it. Start your morning with prayer. And start just getting the routine in the morning. And then you can do your night prayer.
Consistency.
Consistency is key there. but what I have found, and as I shared with you with my story of changing from nursing to education, was the first thing I went to was the chapel. I was like, God, like, tell me what I should do, and just asking him, which is a great place to start. But you need to pray. You need to actually talk with him, because he will talk to you. God does speak to us. And then you actually do have the responsibility to make the decision. Again, you get a choice. You are not tied to the chair and forced to choose Pitt, I promise, okay? You're not slaves, okay? And God will always speak with clarity, okay? So one thing you have to understand is that if you're confused on something, on a decision, and it's like, because, you know, this factor and this factor and this factor, and like, my brain's all, like, God's going to speak with clarity. Yes, you should always look at all the different options. That's part of discernment, is trying to figure out which one's going to help me, which one's not. But God reveals himself in the truth of sacred scripture, truth of sacred tradition, and the magisterium of the church. He reveals himself in clarity, in truth there. So what that means is that why would he not reveal himself and reveal what you're called to do with clarity and truth for you? He's a consistent God. He's amazing. He's not going to be like, oh, psych, pull the rug out from underneath you. No, he will talk to you. He will guide you with clarity. And let's talk about feelings for a second. Feelings are great. Feelings are sometimes not that great. But feelings are great all around. That's what makes us alive. That's what makes us human. And God experienced joy. God experienced sadness and grief. And he experienced anger. You can see that in the gospel. So feelings, so they don't reveal where we're supposed to be going. They're revealing the condition of our hearts. Okay? So when I was first trying to figure out the nursing thing, okay? Anybody went to Stacy's plan for your life, or whatever it was called? Stress management. So Stacy was actually the one that kind of helped me figure out not nursing. Nursing was not the option, okay? And one thing she kept asking me was peace or no peace. She'd say, like, staying with nursing, peace or no peace? And I was like, no peace. There is no peace here. And then she would say, like, okay, working with the youth in the diocese, peace or no peace? I was like, peace. And that revealed the condition of my heart. So obviously there was something going on with the nursing. And peace or no peace is a factor to discernment, but it is not the thing that needs to be driving you. Okay? It just tells you where your heart is with what's going on right now. So, just go back. So basically, like, there are things that people could be completely at peace with, but they're bad. You know, they're not good. That's not a good decision for them. That's leading them down the wrong way. But you can be completely at peace with it. That just means there needs to be a conversion of your heart, because something is wrong. And there are some decisions that are good for you, and then at the moment you were not at peace with it. And that just reveals that you need to ask God, show me how to be at peace with it. Show me how to actually grow to follow your will, even if I am not okay with it right now. Even if I don't know what it looks like, guide me, because I know this is where you're directing me. So you have to make the decision. Disciples are decision makers. So all the disciples, all the apostles in the Gospels, they had to choose to follow Jesus. Again, they got a choice. You get a choice in what you're doing. So, what do all the saints have in common? Let's go back to our primary vocation. Going to heaven. So, they decided to do God's will. That's what they have all in common. So, think about your patron saint. Think about how that person lived his or her life to do God's will. Specifically how they decided. And if you don't have a patron saint, let me give you a few. So, we have St. Joan of Arc. She's my confirmation saint. If you don't know her story, basically, she was called by God to lead the armies of France. You know, like the armies, like battle armor and everything, as a 14-year-old girl, to lead the armies to victory. And she still had to say yes to God's will and say, yes, I'm standing with you, God, when they decided to burn her at the stake for false charges. She decided to do that. St. Thomas More. St. Thomas More is, he was the Chancellor of England at the time of Henry VIII. And Henry VIII wanted him to say, like, it's okay that we can do our own church and I can divorce my wives and all that stuff. No. He said, no, I'm standing with God, and he was beheaded because he decided to stand with God. He decided to do his will. And of course, Mama Mary, the Blessed Virgin Mary, her yes to saying, yes, I will bear and have the Son of God so that we can have salvation for the world. She did get a choice. And she did actually get to choose the choice of saying, yes, I'm going to do God's will. So I actually have this quote painted on my wall in my classroom. It is, the only mistake in life is not to be a saint. I was gifted this quote when I was in high school from Sister Mary Bridget, and she said if you write it on any test or quiz, you get a bonus point. So I do that with my kids now. Because I think this message is so much more important than a silly bonus point on a math test. Like, please, get a bonus point on the math test, you know? Because this message is so much more important. The only mistake in life is not to be a saint. It's because you are called to be saints, and that means that we're not going to do it perfectly. The saints did not do it perfectly, okay? We're not going to do it perfectly. We are going to make mistakes along the way because that's part of our journey. That's part of our decision making. But as long as you're working towards your primary vocation, it's good. So, at the beginning of this, I asked you, what did you want to be when you were 5 years old? Like when you grew up? And my answer would have been, I wanted to be an artist. And this kind of goes back to my parents. They said, Veronica, you cannot be an artist because artists do not make money. An artist, they're not successful in life, or whatever message they put in my brain. So it actually got shut off from me for a long, long time. And only recently got reignited and reawakened when I was about 23. So, which was about 4 years ago. Yeah. So, what's really cool about this is that I've actually done a lot of work. Y'all heard of Tangled Lights Productions? For Tangled Lights Productions, okay? So, I've restored this very old Santa to a much more themed TLP, look there, for the light show. I even did the big logo that you take your little picture out of. So Tangled Lights Productions. I'm able to do professional work with it, and I actually get paid for it. And if y'all don't know this, I actually donated several of my paintings for your auction last year, and I have been felt called to not just donate to your auction, but to other auctions around the diocese, because I think it's more important for me to make money than to actually like help and support communities that I do care about, which I do care about the communities in the diocese. I'm able to paint things that inspire me, like St. Joan of Arc. I am able to paint the nature that I see and the beauty that God has revealed to me in the nature. It is a way that God is able to talk to me, and it's a very unique way of prayer, because God speaks to us in very unique ways, because we're all different. And actually starting to see God within my life, everywhere. This was a very low time in my life, and I was still able to see him there. See him everywhere. Because, this goes off of the Ephesians quote, no matter how wide or how tall, deep, or, he's always very close to you, and he's so immense, and he's so powerful, but he's still very close to you. He cares about you. So your journey's not over, okay? So when it comes to your vocation, sorry, this is a little bit cheesy, but your journey's not over. So when it comes to your vocation, it is praying. It is asking God, what do I do? It's talking to him, whatever way that is. I know that some people, God talks to them through music. That's not me, but I think that's so beautiful, And it's allowing him to actually have a place in your life so that he can direct you, and so that you can make the decisions to do his will. You can make the decisions to lead you to your primary relationship vocation, which will lead to your ultimate one, which is sanctification, which is being a saint with God forever and ever, which is so cool, because I think that's so beautiful. So, Why don't we end with prayer in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Dear Lord, thank you for everything in our lives. Thank you for your presence, even if we're not always aware. And thank you for loving us. You gave everything to us. You gave everything for us, and show us how to pour our lives back into you. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. All right. Thank you for having me.
So much passion.
Oh, I have lots of passion for this.
I dream of Venn diagrams.